When Emperor Humayun died suddenly, his heir was a boy named Akbar, just 13 and a half years old. At the time, Akbar was isolated in a military camp at Kalanour, miles away from the security of a capital. Commanders hastily constructed a makeshift brick platform right there in the camp. They seated the fatherless boy upon it and proclaimed him emperor, a desperate gesture for a rule that, at that moment, existed only within the perimeter of their tents. Akbar's guardian, Bairam Khan, looked around the camp and realized the most pressing threat was standing right in front of him: the ambitious, heavily armed nobles evaluating whether to follow a child or overthrow him. This chart shows the financial leverage Bairam Khan held at the time of accession. He presented a tribute of gold coins so massive that it allowed Akbar to immediately pay the army and distribute rewards. No other noble possessed the personal wealth required to sustain the military in this moment of crisis. But while money could buy temporary compliance, it could not secure obedience. Bairam Khan knew he had to flush out any hidden traitors before they could organize a coup against the boy king. He organized a grand ceremony at Kalanour to celebrate the accession, issuing mandatory orders to the nobles of Punjab and the surrounding regions to attend. The primary target of this gathering was Shah Abul Ma, the governor of Hisar. He was a famously arrogant lord who had recently quarreled with Akbar and left the camp in a rage. Ma'ali refused the summons at first, claiming he was in mourning. He sent back a letter filled with arrogant demands, questioning exactly where he would be seated and which officers would be sent to receive him. By documenting these demands, Ma'ali provided Bairam Khan with a visible public target, a man overconfident enough to believe he held a position of leverage over the new administration. Bairam Khan did not argue. He sent back word that every single one of Ma'ali's conditions would be accepted, ensuring the governor would feel secure enough to attend the court in person. On the day of the ceremony, the tent was filled with the empire's most powerful men. They offered their gifts and took their seats, waiting to see how the power dynamic between the old elite and the boy king would resolve. When Shah Abul Ma entered, he ignored every rule of royal decorum. He refused to perform mujra, the traditional bow, and offered no tribute to the young emperor. He walked past the other nobles and sat down on the royal carpet itself, directly beside the emperor. Bairam Khan watched the insult and said nothing. He simply instructed the servants to bring out the water and begin the feast. This silence allowed Ma'ali to broadcast his insolence to every witness in the tent, ensuring the governor was completely isolated from his peers before the intervention began. Before the food is served at a Mughal feast, servants bring water to wash the hands of all the assembled nobles. The protocol of hand-washing renders a person defenseless. To receive the water, a guest must extend both hands forward and look down, a posture that ruins their balance and leaves their back completely exposed to anyone standing behind them. The moment Ma'ali reached forward, a soldier named Tolak Khan Kuchin seized him from behind. The noble was caught entirely off balance and unable to resist. Armed guards rushed in with lightning speed. They threw a black cloth over Ma'ali's face and dragged him from the court. Before the other nobles could process what was happening, outside the tent, Bairam Khan's mounted soldiers were already waiting. They threw the blindfolded governor onto a horse and set off for Lahore immediately. Inside the tent, there was a brief, panicked stir, but when the royal mace-bearers issued a sharp warning, the room went cold. The terrified lords silently resumed their meal. Through this single calculated act of psychological warfare, Bairam Khan secured the unquestioned loyalty of every commander in the room. Mali was handed over to a trusted police chief at this stronghold in Lahore. A few days later, news was circulated that he had mysteriously escaped from captivity. Most observers understood that Bairam Khan had likely eliminated the threat quietly. By avoiding a public execution, he removed a rival without creating a martyr. This internal consolidation was completed just in time. Barely had Akbar been secured on his throne when word arrived of two massive, existential threats to the empire. In the east, a commander named Himu was marching toward Agra with a massive army. Meanwhile, in the west, a rival ruler had laid siege to Kabul. If Bairam Khan had not ruthlessly secured the loyalty of his officers that day at dinner, the Mughal Empire would have been torn apart by the storm now reaching its borders.